celebrating 16 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Hallerin Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest.
This is Anything is Possible. Welcome to my space where we talk about possibility. And my hope from week to week is that through these great stories of possibility, you see your own story of possibility. And I don't care what age or stage you are in your life, there's always more. There's always a possibility there. So I hope you see that. These are great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. This is my friend David Francisco. We're on part 2 of my conversation with him. Come on in and enjoy. We finished the last episode with a great song, Lion Heart, and we're smack dab in the middle of your story, actually. Your foot moves 1 degree, and
That's
I guess
right.
we determined that 1 degree of hope qualifies as hope.
Right.
So you're like, wait a minute, my feet are moving. And to catch you up quickly, he was struck on a bicycle by a person texting and driving that ran a red light, paralyzed from the waist down, told he was never going to walk again. And it was 2 years to the day of this recording today that happened. So we're 2 years later, and you're more than 2 years better. But that toe moves, and you're thinking, wait a minute.
This is something. And they said, after some weeks, you might get some function back. And to me, that foot moving meant, all right, let's see what else can move. Maybe I'll get, this is like when my injury is kind of being revealed of how severe it's going to be. So over the next few weeks, I started seeing my other foot move just a little. And then one of my hamstrings could kind of flex. And all of that, pushed me so hard. I don't think I've ever been so motivated in my life. If you can imagine, maybe I could walk again, or maybe I could be functional again after that was taken from me, the biggest thing taken from me in my life. So I pushed it in therapy, and a lot of the sessions would end in tears, but I was fighting, and those sessions were really important, and I was really lucky and thankful to be able to do therapy for as long as I did after the accident.
So you had 2 different types of tears, right?
Yeah.
So you had the tears driven by depression and loss, and you had the tears from the pain of escaping the loss.
Literal pain, fighting, and just the emotional.
I've always wondered how you found that, and I'm wondering if it's the culmination of the love of your family, because I know that's one thing that you rediscovered. It wasn't that you didn't know it,
Right.
but you found the depths of it, right?
Right.
How much of this was you doing this to confirm their love for you? Like, if you're believing this much in me, I owe it to you to walk again. And how much of it was just, you put so much love in me, it fuels my ability to believe in the possibility of overcoming.
Right. I never felt like I needed to improve for them. And they made it clear that they would work with me in the wheelchair and do whatever I needed. But I definitely felt that encouragement. I even wrote a song called Love is What Keeps Us Alive. And that song is just about the importance of having that affirmation of love from family and from friends that kept me hopeful and gave me that positive push that I needed, that otherwise I may not have had, and honestly might not have had the recovery I've had.
Wow. Let's take a break. When we come back, we've got to get to a couple of quick pieces. One is, you thought you wouldn't find love because you were in a wheelchair. And is that a wedding band you have on? The other thing is, you reconciled with the woman that hit you.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. This is David Francisco. We'll get a break. You're watching Anything is Possible.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up,
she saw past the wheelchair. She saw me. And that was what was so special about it, even from the beginning.
So you embrace the therapy, you go after it, you get frustrated. Your mom told me you had a couple of temper tantrums.
Yeah, I did.
But here you are today, and you found a way, and you are finding a way. His toes moved, and then how did we get from there to actually standing and then walking?
Well, everything started with something that was impossible. So, you know, my feet could move, but nothing else. And they said, we're gonna walk today. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And what it meant was I was in a harness attached to the ceiling with a walker and like 2 people on my feet. And what we did was we went through the motion of walking. Even though my legs didn't really do any of it, it was walking. And that, though it seemed almost pointless and ridiculous, was what got me, I think, you know, through the motions. And slowly we just started taking away the different things. We started taking the people off my feet, and now I'm kind of walking with the other stuff. And then we take the harness from the roof off, and now I'm just walking with a walker. And, you know, slowly things keep coming back, and I'm getting stronger. And it felt slow to me, but honestly, it was pretty quick.
You found love.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
In a hopeless place, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's a long story. Basically, I met Christy one time before the accident, which is a really cherished memory for us. She came to Tennessee, long story short, even though she was living in California, for a wedding. We met at a concert, hang out a little bit through a mutual friend, and she leaves with one of my CDs. Well, it turns out she was going through a relational disaster. He had, you know, done some bad stuff, and she would listen to the CD to heal. And so every day in the car, she's going to work. Has her sing-alongs with David, is what she called it. Mm-hmm. And I'm physically healing. She's emotionally healing that summer of 2016. And in August, I got invited to California for the Pensado Awards. And I remembered she had sent me a letter in the hospital about my music encouraging her. And so I wanted to meet up with her just as a friend. You know, I'm still in the place of, I don't know what relationships are gonna look like ever. But long story short, we ended up meeting for coffee that morning and just catching up like we were old friends. And I'd met her once in my life, but somehow we were just really kindred spirits from an early, you know, time.
You're in a wheelchair now.
I rolled out to her in a wheelchair, and guess what? She said, I forgot how attractive he was. In a wheelchair, 2 feet shorter, you know? And that's what I mean when, like, she saw past the wheelchair. She saw me. And that was what was so special about it, even from the beginning.
Was there any trepidation about asking her to marry you, given your condition?
Well, by the time I asked her to marry me, I was sure. But for me, the big reservation was before we even started getting into a relationship. It was that coffee experience, and then a month later, my dad, actually, Wingman, invited her to come to a music festival in San Diego with us. And after that festival, I was still really reserved, but I knew something was happening, and I said, I really like you, and I look forward to seeing where this goes. Meanwhile, I'm like in a wheelchair in Tennessee, and you're in California. Like, what are the chances of that relationship happening, starting from those places? So, you know, we kept in touch, and we started calling each other, and then FaceTiming each other, and we started visiting each other long distance. And after she came to Tennessee to visit was the time that I was all in. And I remember dropping her off at the airport at the end and just crying the entire ride home because I felt like God had given me such a gift. You know, this thing that I thought I lost forever. And that was the moment when I really realized, wow, maybe this is God's gift and it's not over.
You know what, I think this might be the perfect point to get your guitar.
Yeah.
And can I have somebody here from the set just bring his guitar over to me? Maybe we get your guitar right now, and maybe, because you wrote a song.
I wrote a song, and that was kind of my expression of, hey, I kind of have feelings for you. And I don't know what it is. It's not love yet, but it's something, and you're special in some way.
Well, why would you think it wasn't love yet?
Because I didn't know her well enough yet. For me, at least, I have to develop a relationship just to feel the depth of love that I wanted to feel for my wife.
So tell us about what we're going to experience, because this song right here is absolutely incredible, and it's a song you love to sing.
Well, for me, it's actually more of a memento of that moment in our relationship, and when I sing it, I remember, oh yeah, I remember that feeling of us kind of just, wow, she like sees past the wheelchair, and she doesn't see my weakness.
So why don't we do this? I want you to play that song for us.
Yeah.
And then what I'd love for you to do is, when we come back, talk about forgiveness, because that's the final piece of this story. This is David Francisco. Enjoy this beautiful song.
I haven't told her how I lost the hope to love, to be a lover. I haven't shown her all the tears I've had to cry to survive. She doesn't see my weakness. She sees a fighter. She doesn't see my prison walls. She sees an open field. She doesn't know that I am nervous to hold a heart like hers and a hand like mine. It's so contagious, the way she dances to my songs and sings along. She does. It's understated, the way she holds me. I am tall and strong. She doesn't see my weakness. She sees a fighter. She doesn't see my prison walls. She sees an open field. She doesn't know that I am nervous. But she makes me wanna sing. Makes me wanna sing. She makes me wanna sing. Oh, she makes me wanna sing. Oh, she makes me wanna sing. Oh, she makes me wanna sing. It's just the way she believes in me.
Coming up,
One day I get a text and it just reads, "Dear David, so many nights I've stayed up and sat motionless trying to understand what it must be like."
You really have a gift of songwriting. You're a great songwriter, singer, producer, and it's amazing. and you are walking again. Are you getting stronger as you walk?
I'm still getting stronger. I got a new therapist who's telling me that we're gonna do a marathon in 2 years, so we'll see about that, but we're gonna try.
David, will you be able to have children?
Yes, as far as I know. I mean, we haven't tried yet.
Very good.
But, yeah.
You decided that it was important for you to forgive the woman who hit you. Can you unpack that quickly?
Yeah, so going back to the beginning of the accident, I woke up in the hospital. They kind of explained what happened. You were hit by a car. I was on a lot of drugs at the time for the pain, and they told me that the driver was really distraught and was kind of going insane when the accident happened just because of how much it traumatized her, you know? So I just told him at the time, like, hey, tell her that it's okay and that if it was an act, like, I forgive her, you know? Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has accidents. Turns out she was actually, not sure if she was texting, but she was definitely not in the right state of mind. She was offered bipolar meds. She was a drug user at the time, so just in that state, the light came out of nowhere, and that's how it happened. But didn't figure out much of that until later. Months go by and I'm healing, and I'm not allowed to communicate with her. I don't have her contact information. But one day I get a text, and it just reads, "Dear David, so many nights I've stayed up and sat motionless trying to understand what it must be like. And I lived in my dog's house for 3 days because I couldn't face myself." And it was poetic and depressing and heavy all at the same time. And for me, though, it was also good closure to know that, oh, it's a person. It gave it a face, not necessarily a face yet, but it gave it a realness that I think I needed. And I responded just with a video of me walking in that harness and showing her, hey, I'm working, I'm recovering, it's gonna be okay, and I forgive you.
When you talked to her for the first time, what did you say?
Well, that was a crazy experience. About a year later, actually, was the first time we met. And we go to this this shop, we go to this coffee shop, and it's called the Red Bicycle, ironically. So ridiculous. But I go in there, she's already inside, and she expects me to roll in a wheelchair, but I come in walking with forearm crutches, which are, pretty minimal for what you might have to have in comparison. And first thing that happens is I say, bring it in, and we just embraced for like 30 seconds. It was a movie. I felt the weight of the moment, the symbolic nature of it. Just the fact that the guy who's paralyzed is standing, hugging the person who
is emotionally paralyzed.
Made it happen. Yeah, emotionally paralyzed, exactly.
Yeah.
And we caught up for the next hour just about what was your year like? What was your year like? And turns out she was in a halfway house doing rehab, and she had been clean for a few months. And I didn't put that weight of her recovery on me, like, this wasn't worth it unless she recovers. No, that was up to her. But what I did was my part, which was forgiveness and showing her, again, just a tangible representation of what God did for us. And just like you said about the song, you see how God sees us in that song. Christy was a tangible representation of how God sees us by how she saw me. And so I was able to be a tangible representation of God's forgiveness by showing it to Freya and just giving us a human example of God's things that bring life. And I'm all about God brings life. Literally, metaphorically, in every way, the things of God bring life.
Wow. So to wrap, what is your message of possibility to people watching today?
There's a lot of different things, but to sum it up, my own story is redemption. Broken things being used tenfold to do greater things than I could have done before the accident. But I also say I'm not a victim. I never saw myself as a victim. And you mentioned the term learned helplessness,
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing in our society today. And I want to encourage people that you don't have to see yourself as a victim, despite whether you are or not a victim. I was a victim of an accident, obviously, and it affected my life permanently. But by not treating myself that way and giving myself a pity party, which was totally justified, I was able to recover, and I was able to find purpose, which was the biggest thing, and find love. And I don't think that would have been possible without, seeing myself as a fighter. And I also don't think I could have not been a victim had I not had the love and support of my family. So it's love, it's not being a victim, and it's redemption.
Pain properly processed produces possibility.
Whoa, yes.
Stick the landing, right? I love you, man. Thank you for coming.
Love you too, thank you so much.
You got the heart of a lion, lion heart. Thank you, folks. We'll see you next time on Anything is Possible.